In this video, you'll learn how to use controllers and views to your package. And a little spoiler, it's very easy to do so. Let's start with creating a controller. I've already said that I like to mimic Laravel's project structure in the package. So I'm going to create an HTTP directory and a controller subdirectory, just like in a normal Laravel project. Let's create a new controller, my controller. It will have an index method and it just returns OK. Let's also add a route to this controller. And for this, we are going to go to our service provider. Any extra configuration that you might do in a package can be put in the package registered method. The implementation of this method in the base class is empty, so we can leave it empty here too. Here you can call any code to set up your package that you like. And in this case, we are going to register a route. Now, you might not know this, but routes can be registered from anywhere in your application. Commonly, you do this in a route file, but it can be done from anywhere. So also in our service provider. So let's add a route now. So I'm going to use the route facade. Let's call a get method. Let's put something on the my route URL. And here we are going to use my controller that we just created. And we added an index method there. Let's write a test for this so we know for sure that this works. So in my feature directory, I'm also going to create an HTTP directory, which has a controllers directory. And here we have a test, my controller test. I don't need this class as I'm using pest. And here we can write our test. Of course, you can store your test wherever you want. Let's name this test, it has a route. And like in a normal Laravel project, you can test out routes by calling get. Then the route URL, we used my route. And we are going to assert that the status code of the response was OK. And we're also going to assert that we see that string OK being returned. So that is that string here. Okay, let's run this test. And sure enough, it passes. Just to make sure that this test actually tests something, let's try to make it fail by adding something here. And sure enough, this fails. Let's make it green again. And usually, but you don't have to do this, I don't use any strings here for routes, but I use the action helper to get that URL. So here I'm going to use the action helper to get a URL to the index method of my controller. And of course, this works as well. And we get a little error when running the test. I forgot to make this a tuple. Let's do it like that. Run the test again. And now it returns green. Let's head back to our service provider and improve things a bit. So right now, the package registers a route on the URL my route. But in normal circumstances, you don't want to do this, because the project where your package is going to be installed in might already have a route with this name. You want to give your package user a chance to customize on which URL a route is registered. And usually I do this by providing a route macro. Let me show you how it works. So on the route facade, you can call macro. You can give the macro a name. I'm going to name it example because my package is named example. As a second argument, we are going to give it a callable. Let's move the route in here. And users can now register this route in their projects like this. So this happens in the project, route example, like that. And then this will get called. But here we're still using that hard-coded value. Let's fix that. We are going to accept a base URL here. And we're going to use that to prefix all of our routes. So let's pass the base URL. And then for everything in the group, we're going to use it. Let's move this in there. Let's format it a little bit. And let's use / here. Let's maybe also give this a default. And with this code, if a package user calls route example in the project, then the route to my controller will be registered at the example URL. And if the package wants a different route, maybe custom route, then the route to my controller will be registered at the custom route URL. That's how that works. Let's remove this little example. We're going to test it out in a project a little bit later in this video. So you'll see that macro in action there. Let's go to our test and try to run our test again. And this now fails because there's no route registered by default. Package users must call that route macro, and we need to do that in our test as well. So I could put it here if I want, route example, but usually I do this in the setup method of the test case. So you could do it here, route example. If I run the test now, we get a failure because I forgot to import this. Let's do the facade. Let's run the test again. Oh, and I made a little mistake with my hotkey, so I'm going to go back to here and run this test. And now it returns green. If you're using PHP unit, then this is fine. But if you're using pest, there's a more common approach. And in our pest.php file, we can add a before each. Let's give it a callable, and this code will be run before each test. Let's call our route macro. Let's run the test again. And sure enough, we get green. Okay, so everything is working in our tests. Let's now try it in our application. So this is the application that we also used in previous videos. Our package is installed here via symlink, so I can immediately use all the features that I've added to the package. So I'm going to call route example here, like that. And maybe let's immediately use a custom route, my package route. Let's open this up in the browser. And you can see this is Laravel's default homepage. Let's add our package route. So my package route, and I'm going to add HTTP, because if I don't, Safari will sometimes just Google that string, which I don't want. And here you can see that we got a response from our controller. Let's change this so you know for sure that this is working correctly. Hi from controller. Let's refresh, and sure enough, I get this value. So now in our project, we are actually using that package route. Great, right? Okay, let's improve it a bit. Usually, you're not returning strings from controllers, but views with full HTML. Let's take a look at how we can use views in our package. The first thing that you must do is call hasViews on the package in configure package. So let me uncomment this, and this does all the setup for you. You can see that in our skeleton, we already have a resource directory and a view directory. Here we can create a new plate view. I'm going to call this one package view, but of course you must name it for something that makes sense to you. Let's put hi from the view in the package here. And we can delete this git keep file. This is just for making sure that you get these directories whenever you use our skeleton. And this is how you can call views from a package. You just use the view function and you add the view that you want to return. But as a prefix, we're going to use the package short name. And again, the package short name is the name of the package without the Laravel prefix. So example, and then 2 colons. And this signifies to Laravel that this view should be loaded from this directory. Of course, you could create a subdirectory as well, and then you can use dot notation here. But we're not going to do that for now. Okay, let's run our test again and see what happens. And of course, our test now fails because our controller doesn't return OK now, but it returns hi from the view from the package. So let's update our test. Let's refresh. And this test now works. And of course, when I refresh the page in our project, we're seeing the content of that view as well. Our view now contains a little string, but in normal circumstances, a view will contain a bit of HTML. Most packages will allow to publish the views, so a user can make tiny modifications to it. And by calling that hasViews method in the package service provider, we've already done all the work for you. This will make all views of your package publishable. In the README, you'll also find the instruction on how users should publish the views. So it's this one. So vendor publish is Laravel's command to copy stuff from a package into a project. And the tag that we use here is the package short name. So the name of the package without the Laravel prefix. and we suffix it with views. Let's try it out in our project. Let's paste it here and run it. And you can see that our views directory from the package was copied over to the resources directory in this project. Let's refresh this so you can see it. So in views, a new vendor directory was created with the name of our package and our view inside it. So if I change this to hi from the custom view in the project, we'll see those changes in the browser as well. Let's try it out. And sure enough, we see the new content here. So now our package offers routes, controllers, and views. By using a macro, package users can customize the URL. And through has views, the views are publishable so they can be customized too. And adding all of this is pretty straightforward once you know how to do it.